Yo, what's up, y'all? It's me. It's been a while. I know. Am I gonna explain where I've been? No. Are you gonna ask? Probably not. Let's get into it.
Ruslan.
Philip DeFranco recently had one of the worst takes I've ever heard regarding corn in the industry and it being potentially accessible to minors. If you did,
So, I'm actually gonna explain a little bit. For people who don't know, this guy is Ruslan KD. Um, I got into Ruslan like I want to say a couple of years ago through his music. He rapped. There was a song of him and what's his name? Paul Russell. Paul Russell. I had found him through Paul Russell when I was doing a deep dive on Christian hip hop artists because I was tired of like the two that everybody knows or the two that Christian people know. So if you know Christian hip hop, then you know the two I'm talking about. And so I was trying to find something different. So I went on a deep dive, found Paul Russell, through Paul Russell, found Ruslan, and then a couple years later during quarantine, I was like, oh, he do YouTube. Oh, I should watch some of his stuff. And I've been watching. I've been watching pretty much ever since. He's honestly one of a big inspiration of how I want to do YouTube. And even though I don't agree with everything he says, because who agrees with everybody unless you're a bot? Um, I think the way he does YouTube is commendable. So that's it. A little introduction for him. I don't know, but I mean, less known than him, so maybe you knew who he was. I don't know. Let's get into it.
no, Utah, I think, did an amazing job of outlawing or highly limiting the access to Cornhub. Well, in Philip DeFranco's coverage of this, I don't think he gets it at all. Like this is such a bad take, and I am so perplexed by it. And I didn't know he was this far gone until he had this take. So let's jump into this conversation.
Keep
Zach.
talking news. And then the war on porn is getting real. With yesterday, Pornhub blocking users in Utah from accessing the site over a new age verification law. And that law, which goes into effect today, requires websites hosting adult content to verify that users are 18 or older. But that means
That's a massive W,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Like that's a huge W. Like you should not want the slightest of access of folks who are under 18 to have access to this.
Yes.
Yeah,
Now watch him produce this word salad of nonsense.
yeah. Nah, this is a W. This is something that is necessary. It's a necessary because I'm of two minds. Of one, it shouldn't be a thing that's access that anyone have access to or would want access to, should I say? And two, especially of minors, like y'all don't know my story, but my story, I got into this stuff early. Like I was like 10, maybe 8, something like that, and I found it by accident. I found it by accident. Like it was a thing where it just popped up in my life and I had no say about it. I was trying to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender on Hulu because back then they used to have like a Nickelodeon section on Hulu. This was back when Hulu was free. And you could just look it up and then like go on it and then just watch ads, but then watch whatever show you want. I put I put in Hulu.co. Forgot the M. I forgot the M, and it sends me to an adult website. I forgot one letter, and it reroutes me to like I was trying to watch cartoons. Do you know how wild that is? That's and from there it was a spiral down, bro. And it took from 8 to 18 for me to get out of it. That's a decade, bro. It took a decade for me to get out of it. Just because all it asked was, "Are you 18?" Are you? Hey, are you 18? Hey, you're 18, right? You promise? You promise you're 18? Okay, we'll let you in. We'll let you in. You promise you were 18? We'll let you in. We'll let you in. Hey, don't say less. Say less.
Sense.
Under this new policy, every time a resident visits a porn site, they will be required to provide a government
Yup.
ID, where you're not just clicking a box.
Pause it. Make that junk as hard as possible for people.
Yeah.
Make it as hard as possible.
Credit check.
Credit check, social,
The whole
address.
Hard credit check. You
all
gotta
of
get
it.
pre-qualified.
Yeah, go ahead.
Companies that do not comply can be held liable if they're sued because a minor was able to access their content. So if you're in
Yep.
Utah and you try to log on for your nightly Pornhub or mid
But they should be sued. Hey, wait. They should be sued. I was 8 and able to access a plus 18 website. They should be sued. It was mad easy for me. It wasn't hard. I didn't struggle. It wasn't like I could. The basis on getting on a plus 18 website is that you can read past a 3rd grade level. That's it. That is the low. You can get on a plus 18 website if you can read past a 3rd grade level and lie. You know what I'm saying? That's and lie. And lie, bro. That's it. That is literally it. That is the way you can get on a plus. It should be a little bit harder than that. It should be a little bit harder than that. And then also it's difficult. It's difficult when we're mixing in law with morality in a country that, even though it has foundations in Christian values, is changing to more of like a moral relativism. Is that so? It's like in these laws, do we even? To me, it's like, do we even trust the lawmakers that where it's like, oh yeah, we ban porn for minors, but then they sneak in something in it where it's like, oh, but we restricted your access to I don't know, XYZ, some type of fundamental right as American citizens, something like that. So for me, that's why I'm of two minds in this, and I think they get into it a little bit later, when the moral good is that porn should not be easily accessed by minors. I think we can all agree on that. I don't think anybody needs it. You will find nothing that says that it's good for you, and if you do, it's some 16-year-old who really likes it. You know what I'm saying? But there's so that's the good, but then you go on the other side where it's like, okay, do I believe in lawmakers having my best interest at heart, not to take advantage of this moral good and use it to twist it somehow? I think they get into it a little bit later. We're gonna see.
Day Pornhub, or I'm not going to judge you, but whenever you did it, you were instead met with a video from adult performer Cherie DeVille. And not because she was like an angry stepmom stuck in a washer dryer. Rather, it's a video of her explaining why access has been blocked for Utah residents.
While safety and compliance are at the forefront of our mission, giving your ID card every time you want to visit an adult platform is not the most effective solution for protecting our users, and in fact, will put children and your privacy at risk. In addition, mandating age verification without proper enforcement gives platforms the opportunity to choose whether or not to comply. As we've seen in other states, this just drives traffic to sites with far fewer safety measures in place. Very few sites are able to compare to the robust trust and safety measures we currently have in place.
Cherie also going on to say,
But you don't have robust trust and safety measures. There are kids getting exposed to this stuff all the time,
They're
which
the
is
best in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is also the thing is that one, he's right. There's kids getting exposed to this all the time, but I also think that is a consequence of our country's individualism. Like we are called the United States, but the states, if we don't dictate something on a federal level, then the states have the power. So it's like, you should listen. I don't want it. You should make it as hard as possible. I agree, but what she says does have a little bit of a truth of it, in that it's not hard to get around if they just block it on one website, right? It's not hard to get around if they just block it in one website on a state where it's like, oh, they have to whatever. Like, when you if you ever, I mean, I'm sure majority the statistics show that majority of y'all who have ever watched this probably have seen something. There is millions of websites that are like right there. Like, it's not hard to find. Like, it's like, oh, so you don't go to the hub, I bet, then you go and just go to the other one. Or if you don't got that, then there's another one. It's like it's a Google search. It's a Google search. So it is that, like, it's like, okay, you don't go on the main one, but it's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. Like, it should be difficult. It should be like, every website requires you to, like, verify that you're 18 plus, because then it's the choice of the person. But, like, in the world of the internet, that's easy. It's not. It's almost. It's like, yeah. It's like, yeah. There's a gate, but there's no fence. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a gate. There's a door, but, like, there's no walls. You can just walk around the door. Like, it doesn't really. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
They have it all covered. It's better than any other industry ever.
So they're pushing back and saying, well, people are going to get it either way. You want to go with the trusted brand. You want to go with the Walmart of corn. Right? And so, again, listen to him just rationalize this nonsense.
Say that in order to be effective, any legislation needs to be enforced against all adult content platforms, and arguing that the most effective way to protect both kids and adults is to identify users based on their device and allow access to certain content based on device identification, and even including a link to its help center page on how to set up parental controls on desktop and mobile devices.
So they want all of the restrictions to fall on parents to set it up on their iPhone.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is for kids who are slipping through the cracks with parents that don't give a crap and are allowing them to, or not even thinking if they are or aren't.
Yeah.
Like, that's the issue that he's
Yeah, because I mean, what he's saying is, yeah, it's definitely not that. It's not just parents that don't get, like. I'm better at the internet than my parents were. That's just what it was. It was just that simple. I knew things they had no idea about, because I was a kid of the internet. The internet's been around longer than I've been alive. You know what I'm saying? So, like, my parents came from a generation before cell phones. All they knew was, you know what I'm saying? They didn't have the internet. My parents were born in the 60s. So it's like, there 100% needs to be something in place, but I think it needs to be on a federal level for it to be ever effective. Like if it's like even anything like a 18 plus, it has to be verified. It has to be verified. But but I understand, because people don't want their ickiness exposed to the light. They don't want anyone knowing that where they've been icky. They wanted to. They don't want to leave a paper trail. They don't want to leave essentially, because you verify what's their state ID or something like that. Essentially, it's saying like, oh, John was here. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you walk in. It's like, oh, John was here and he was going crazy. What? He was watching. He was watching the lion tamer with the acrobat. They're like, what are we talking about right now? You know what I'm saying? It's like yeah. No, it's 100% these things, but I think for it to be effective, it needs to be on the federal level because if it's state level, one, it's state level, and then two, will it be enforced? That's also the thing. It's like there's one thing for the bill to be passed. Will it be enforced? I'm a little bit hesitant on it being enforced. I don't believe that they think it's as big as a deal as it actually is.
Completely missing.
He's a good kid. He doesn't watch porn.
Go ahead.
Reconcluding.
Until a real solution is offered, we've made the difficult decision to completely disable access to our website in your region.
And the big key thing.
Good. Yeah, good, man. I mean, it also doesn't make sense. If you're saying... Okay, follow me on this. So if you're saying that before it would just lead them to more dangerous websites, but then you say we're gonna just restrict access in your region, then isn't that also still leading them to more dangerous websites in your own logic? All right, cool. Nah, we good. Hey, you ain't gotta say nothing to me. We cool.
Here is
Yay! That's a massive W, ladies and gentlemen. They've just say yes, amazing. That's great. And watch this goober argue away why this is a bad thing.
experts also agree.
I ain't gonna lie, Goober is crazy. I ain't gonna lie, Goober is nuts. Calling a man Goober is mad funny, yo. Goober, bro? Damn, that's mad funny.
With these claims that age verification is not effective, and instead it actually drives children to unsafe sites while simultaneously exposing adults who provide highly sensitive personal info to data breaches, hacks, and extortion. And others arguing this could just be the beginning. With one expert
So it sends them to unsafe sites. But if the standard becomes all corn sites have to have age verification because it should be verified your age, then what you're really saying is we're afraid that Cornhub will have a data breach. So what you're really saying is they got to provide ID, but we're afraid that they're going to fumble the security aspect of it and give everybody their IDs.
It's also from the presumption that Pornhub is Cornhub is a safe site for kids.
Yeah, well, I don't
Because
think
he was like, the kids are gonna end up going to less or to not safe sites,
Right.
And the adults are gonna lose their information.
right.
So the two assumptions are Cornhub is safe, and the kids are gonna go out to non-safe sites where they don't have to be verified, and the adult users are not. Their information isn't safe. Right. So I'm like, but is Cornhub safe?
Yeah. And if it's not, if it's the premium, why can't you prevent data breaches from people's information getting out?
Yes.
Go ahead.
telling
I mean, but that's what it is. Is like I said before, is people are afraid of leaving a trail of where they've been. They're ashamed because listen, whatever the world tells you, whatever people have said, whatever people maybe in your friend group, they'll admit to it, be like, yeah, man, I be watching that thing, you know what I'm saying, with the Brads, whatever, cool. But they wouldn't want their mama to know. There's shame attached to it. There's shame attached to it. So, like, if they had to verify, they're afraid of the shame they might feel if exposed. That's what it is. That's what it comes down to. They'll feel shame. They'll feel embarrassed. They will feel humiliated. They would know deep down in their spirit that they weren't supposed to be there. Especially if the type of whatever they were watching is exposed. If it's your name, if it's your name, and then whatever you were watching next to it, dog. If it's your name, category, type of video, like if it's all that, there's shade, bro. I promise you, there's mad people who are watching things that they would die. They would rather die. They would rather die than have it exposed to even 10 people. They would rather die. And then, they want what? They want kids to be. It's like, it's also like, what about the kids that are like me? I just got it, like, it just happened to me. No one exposed it to me. No one, I was just on the internet, and then boom, I was there. It was, boom. What about kids? So it's also the assumption that kids are just out here seeking porn. That they're just out here seeking these 18 plus websites. Some of them, you could save a big chunk of kids who just never were into, who just weren't. If they're not introduced, they don't go seeking. That's also a thing. If you're never introduced, then you just don't go seeking. No, all right, cool. No, I think that makes too much sense. My apologies.
Axios, I think this has a huge chilling effect on anybody who's operating in the sexual wellness space, as well as obviously
Sexual wellness.
And therein lies, like, him pulling these quotes show you where his mindset is.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that you can call corn sex wellness and sex.
Yo, isn't YouTube? It's such a funny place where he can't say the word without getting demonetized. He has to say segs. I don't even know if the algorithm is smart enough to tell the difference, to be honest with you. Yeah, and it's also like, I don't, like, the people who's like, this is, the wellness space, this, adult wellness space, adult speech or whatever. Just see a therapist. That's like, just go see a therapist. Deal with your trauma. Deal with the heartbreak when you were younger. Deal with the person who abandoned you, whether it was your father or your mother. I'm not, whatever. Deal with the abuse you may have or may have not have been a victim of. Is like, just deal with it, but don't act like it's a good thing. It literally has no overall good. It doesn't. Literally, there's nothing that suggests that there's any overall good. Nothing. Okay.
Speech of all kind. Like, that's a complete train wreck of a paradigm.
Yeah.
speech of all kinds, including adult content. This goes way beyond Utah. Right? Louisiana was actually the first state to enact a law requiring ID-based age verification for websites that host adult content, with that going into effect back in January. And since then, Mississippi and Arkansas have also signed copycat bills into law. And this is similar proposals are working their way through legislatures in more than a dozen other states. With experts saying these proposals...
Hey, good. Because you know what? You won't find a psychologist out there that is not completely loony crazy that'll tell you that corn is a net positive for people's mental development, for people's psychological development, for people's physical development. The fact that you somehow think that creating less restrictions for this is a good thing is beyond me. This is like saying, cigarettes really aren't that bad, so why do we want to create restrictions where kids can't get them?
Yeah.
It's like we know the tobacco industries back in the 80s and 90s would market towards kids with stuff like Joe the Camel. And so therefore there was a harsher restriction on how to get them, on taxing them, and eventually banning them. Like they banned menthol cigarettes in California. That's the W. You know why? Because cigarettes are destructive. Corn is destructive. It's not good.
Ain't that also crazy? I couldn't legally, because I'm from Jersey, legally I wasn't able to buy a cigarette until 19. I don't buy cigarettes, but I'm just saying legally I wasn't able to, like, I could walk in, even show my ID at 18 and be like, here, I want a Marlboro red. If you don't get out of here, kid, what are you talking about? They couldn't sell it to me. They couldn't sell it to me. They were more restrictive with the cigarettes than they were with alcohol. That's so funny. That's so funny. But then when it comes to exposing kids, like I said, I was 8 years old. When it comes to exposing children to adult websites, they're like, "Are you 18? You promise? Swear you're 18. Okay, come on in." Like a pedo in a van. That's cool.
For people, it's not good for their brain development. It's not good
Like a pedo in a van. I said it and I stand by it.
for their sexuality. It's just not good. He's approaching this with the presupposition that corn is neutral, and it's not. And you won't find any data to support that idea.
Don't just limit sexual speech and harm the livelihoods of adult performers. As the New York Times explains, these restrictions could also remake the internet for millions.
Plenty of industries have fell, and then better industries have come up out of it. Plenty of industries are no longer needed, and then other industries replace it, and it's better for humanity. I'm sure witch doctors felt the same way. But they're like, "What you mean medicine? What are you talking about, science? What about my magic? What you do? I don't do bibbidi boppity booping. What are you talking about? The Industrial Revolution has good and bad to it, but it replaced a lot of people who were just struggling to get by. And put them in a industry that was economically better for them. You can say the good and the bad for it, whether expose people to chemicals, all that stuff, and I'll give you that. I'll give you that, but like it's also like what? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's just it's like. They're talking about protecting kids. And then he goes, "But what about the actors? But what about the performers? What are they gonna do without the kids watching them?" It's like, what are you talking about? What are we gonna do without the kids watching us? They were our main bread and butter. And that's the issue. They shouldn't, if that affects the whole industry of them having to verify that they're 18 to watch adult websites, and that shuts down the entire industry, that's a good thing, because that means way more kids were exposed than they ever should have been. That's wild. What are we? Oh, God.
Millions of adults, ushering in a tectonic cultural shift to a stricter age-gated online world. And adding, civil liberties groups say that certain bills could make it difficult for Americans, including minors, to view online information they have a constitutional right to see, violating free speech principles. Right? And that's because many of these bills go beyond just regulating platforms like Pornhub, right? Because porn sites are not the only places where you can find porn. In fact, a recent survey by Common Sense Media found that 1 in 3 teens seek out porn just by looking on social media. So as a result,
that's a problem too. So it's like this whataboutism. Well, what about finding corn on social media? Yep.
I would argue Like the social media websites do a better job than the adult websites, and it's their main priority. Like when I made an account on like these websites, when I made an account on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, I had to put my birthday, because I made them when I was like 10. I had to put my birthday, and then when there was like things that I couldn't watch, like things that were 18 plus, they were like, you're under 18, you can't watch it. Sorry, move on to the next video. Or they just didn't show me, or it was just literally blocked off from me. Didn't even have the access to click on it. So yeah, make it hard as possible. Like listen, y'all. Listen, I don't know, man. It just seems like it's like, hey, we made a step towards progress of kids not being addicted to things they shouldn't be addicted to. Okay, cool, but like, what if like, but what if they go over here and they still get addicted? Well, we can work on that too. We can work on that too. I'm just saying that, hey, this is a step forward. Yeah, but like, but what if a kid smokes crack? Well, we should stop that. I'm just saying, we just stopped a kid from drinking though. We just stopped kids from drinking. We should. Yeah, but like, but what if a kid shooting up heroin? Okay.
That's bad too. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean that highly restricting it is an injustice, a grave injustice that he makes this whole video about.
Yeah.
Many of these proposals that we're talking about here could limit access to social media sites both directly and indirectly. So in order to comply, we're looking at a future where social media sites could essentially be forced to implement much more strict age verification programs, like requiring government ID. With
Good. Good.
I think he forgot that the 18 plus means 18 plus.
I think that's a standard.
Yeah, it's like
That's
no
not
one,
like a suggestion.
no one's been arguing the 18 plus.
Yeah.
It's just been like the honor system.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I think everyone should have to use their government name on social media. So you should be using your ID. Like, that's not crazy. You don't walk into a store and start talking crazy to somebody as user 124.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So people would be a lot more, not on some like social credit score system, but just on some pure like, all right, let your words out in the streets.
Yep.
They know your name.
Yep.
Listen, I know it's I know he's joking. I know he's joking. Listen, I've heard this before. For me, that's a listen, I think that's terrifying, to give the internet more information about you. I think that's a horrible idea. I do. Just in general, I think if you plan on engaging in certain activities on the internet, such as adult websites, then yes, you should. It should be confirmed that you're 18. However, if I leave a YouTube comment, I don't need nobody knowing my entire government. I'm not going. If I go, hey, great video, I don't need some dude be like, oh, yep, that's the dude I'm hacking today. I'm stealing his whole identity. I don't need that. I don't need that. I also don't trust the government or these corporations well enough with my information that they would do a good job of guarding it. I do not. I do not trust them. I don't think anybody should trust them. That's just me personally.
They know who you are.
Yep.
I think that should be required either way.
I think it should be required for news stations like this, which is he kind of, he's like YouTube infotainment
Yeah.
news, to critically think through what they're saying and at least present the other side of the argument. Because
Yes.
this was such a poor presentation of, one, the intent, two, the practicality. 3, why any of this is bad. Like this is wild for him to cape for the corn industry, which is by design exploitive of most people. There's some minor fraction out there that enjoys doing this kind of work, and they're in a bedroom. Like, that's the caveat. There's a lot of trafficking connected to this. There's a lot of not good things connected to this. And so
Some of these bills, they're so vague as to what content is harmful, which is why you have so many opponents saying they're using this veil of like porn is evil, save the children, as a way to crack down on the livelihoods and rights of everyday American adults. With all
What are we talking about?
What I said? What I said? It was like, hey, you're gonna have to verify that you're 18. But what about the actors? What are they gonna do? Without the children, they don't have a job. Think of the actors. Usually ain't to think of the children. Think of the actors. They throwing it back online for kids. But how are they gonna be able to afford throwing it back? They can't afford the LED lights that illuminate. Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? We're talking about, bro, there will still be adults watching it. Do I agree with it? No, but there'll still be adults watching it. All we're saying is don't let kids watch it. I don't get why that's a bad. I don't get why. But the performers. What are we? Yo, if a majority of your audience is kids and you're not making kid-oriented content, you did something wrong. There's something messed up in the system. I don't know what to tell you. Something went horribly wrong. It needs to be fixed. And if this is what it is, and because we all know, listen, we all know until literally the end of the earth, this stuff is gonna exist. I don't think any of us are naive about that. But if we can limit how many people get affected by it, what's the issue? What's the problem?
you know, and you know what the most telling part about this and how he shows his hand is never once in this does he say, you know, kids really shouldn't be viewing this.
Yeah.
Kids really shouldn't be viewing this. Mm-hmm. It's just like, well, it's neutral, and you know what, kids are gonna see it anyway, so like, why make it more difficult?
He's the type of dude that would have made this video about requiring IDs before you enter a bar. He'd be like, man, it's just so bad for the industry. It's gonna put so many bartenders out of work.
Some kids just want to go in and have a hot dog, bro. They just want to go in and have a hot dog. I mean, a bar serves good hot dogs.
A lot of the times, it's just the experience at sitting at the bar and watching the game with your buddies.
Yeah, what a complete L for Philip DeFranco. He's been having some really bad takes yesterday. So anyway, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this conversation.
Man, that's rough. That's rough. That's rough. That's rough. That was a rough watch. I ain't gonna lie. It's like, listen, I don't know what's going through my man's mind. I don't know what he's dealing with. I don't know, whatever. It's not the point. The point is, what's the point, Reese? But the point is, kids should be watching adult websites. Plain and simple. I think we can cut it off right there. All right. I appreciate y'all. My first video back. I know it was noisy in the back. A lot of things are happening today. Please excuse it. Will it be better next time? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
They're thinking in their mind, oh, what a dangerous game. Just a moment with the wrong thought, here comes the downfall like a flood.